Bitcoin is currently creating this huge bull flag formation on the 50-minute time frame, so this could indicate that the pump for Bitcoin isn't over yet. We are now finally starting the huge upside momentum for Bitcoin because we also broke this huge horizontal resistance. And there are of course a lot of other interesting charts I will look at today in this video. There's also a lot of interesting news coming in for the Bitcoin ETFs and also the Ethereum ETFs. We can see that Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, is buying another $101 million in Bitcoin. And there are a lot of other interesting charts and news articles I will discuss with you in this video. Later in the video I will also talk about the two altcoins Ethereum and also about Vechain. So you want to watch this video all the way to the end to be prepared for what's coming next. Please like the video because you will support this channel and I will thank you for it. You can also join my free Telegram group by just clicking the links in the description under this video. And with that being said, let's dive right into the charts. In my latest video I've been talking about this huge CME gap for Bitcoin around the $98,000, and we can see that Bitcoin closed the CME gap perfectly shortly after the weekend was over, just like I expected in my last video. Now we can see that Bitcoin is seeing a huge pump, and yesterday on Monday we saw a huge pump for Bitcoin towards the $102,000, and we came all the way to this level, and now we're seeing a little bit of a consolidation happening, but I will talk about that later in the video. So the CME gap got closed and we're seeing a huge spike to the top side, which is looking very bullish. But after the CME gap got closed shortly after the weekend, Bitcoin could trade freely, and we're now seeing beautiful continuation of the top side. And if we zoom in a little bit on the 50-minute time frame, we can see that Bitcoin rose yesterday on Monday very hard and very rapidly. We can see a huge pump unfolding, and we can see this bull flag is now unfolding because we can see this huge resistance on the top side, and on the lower side we can see support coming into the market, and eventually the price of Bitcoin is getting squeezed into this apex, and we will eventually see a break either to the top side, of course either to the downside. But this bull flag formation is a typical bullish biased pattern, and we tend to break to the top side more often because the chances are high that we're going to see a continuation of the price action because the trend is now up. So let's see if we're going to see a break to the top side, and if Bitcoin does, we could maybe see an attempt to break the previous all-time high of $180,000. And if we have a look at the Bitcoin ETFs, we can see a huge interesting day for Bitcoin yesterday, and we saw a $978.6 million of total inflow, and this was all because BlackRock and Fidelity and also Bitwise and the ARK Bitcoin ETF were buying like crazy, and we can also see that Grayscale was buying like crazy. So this is exactly what we want to see. We are seeing green numbers across the board, so this is what we all want for the Bitcoin ETFs, and this is what pumping up the price for Bitcoin. So we're now coming closer to this $37 billion of total cumulative inflow, and we can also see this spike to the top side in this graph of the total cumulative inflow. And of course we want to see that $40 billion target getting hit quickly because it will pump up the price for Bitcoin even more, and we will see much more pumps for Bitcoin. So 2025 is starting very well for the Bitcoin ETF flow. And lately I've been discussing this huge interesting pattern for Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. We can see this huge horizontal support was coming into play, and every time we touched this support we saw a nice spike to the top side, and every time we came to this huge green box of accumulation I was buying more Bitcoin, just like I was telling you in my Telegram group. And we can also see this huge trendline resistance coming into play, and eventually this price of Bitcoin was getting squeezed into an apex. We saw a beautiful break to the top side. We retested this previous resistance as support, and from this bullish retest you could have entered the market in a long, and now we can see a beautiful topside continuation for Bitcoin. And from this bullish retest you could have already made an increase of almost 10%, so this was a very significant trade to make, and especially when you are leverage trading. But for now, we can see that the top side of the formation is always the breakout target, so this will be around the previous all-time high of $180,000. And I think the Bitcoin pump is not over yet, so we could still see more topside continuation after this bullish pump for Bitcoin. But of course we could also see maybe a little bit of a retest to test lower levels as support, and from there we could potentially see more topside continuation. So for now the breakout target of this formation is still in play, and it is around $108,000, so I think we will see more topside continuation for Bitcoin in the coming days and weeks. And let me know in the comments, do you think that Bitcoin is going to break the previous all-time high in January, or do we have to wait later in the year? Personally, I think that Bitcoin will create a new all-time high in January. And looking at another chart on the 4-hour time frame for Bitcoin, we can see this huge horizontal resistance is finally broken to the top side, and in the past we can see a lot of touch points here as support and resistance, and now finally we are seeing a break to the top side because yesterday we saw a huge pump, and this horizontal resistance has to be painted in green now because it is acting as support. So we could also potentially see a little bit of a throwback to test this resistance as support, and if we're going to touch this level, you can enter the market for Bitcoin in a long, and we can aim for higher targets, because this would be a very healthy play for Bitcoin, because after we broke this resistance, we could potentially see a retest of this resistance to test it as support. And this bullish retest could be a very interesting buy order for the long term for Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin is going to create this bullish retest, you can enter the market for Bitcoin, because it would be a very interesting place to buy more Bitcoin for the long term. So after breaking this huge resistance area to the top side, it is looking very bullish for Bitcoin, and I think the pump for Bitcoin isn't over yet. And we also had some interesting news coming in again yesterday, and we see that Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy is going to buy another $101 million in Bitcoin, and this could also mean that the pump for Bitcoin yesterday was caused by MicroStrategy. And we can also see, of course, that the Bitcoin ETFs were very beautiful yesterday. So yeah, they are buying $1,070 billion, and yeah, this was causing a little bit of a pump for Bitcoin, and they are now holding a lot of Bitcoin, and they are also in very much profit. So if we have a look at the portfolio of MicroStrategy, we can see that every time we see this green dot, MicroStrategy bought more Bitcoin. So we are now seeing a lot of green dots in the last months. So they are just buying no matter what the price of Bitcoin is. And they also bought the top at this level at $106,000. So this is insane, of course. And currently they are sitting at $45.59 billion in total worth of Bitcoin, and they are now in 63% in profit, and this is almost $18 billion. So this is insane, of course. So Michael Saylor can become the biggest investor in history ever if Bitcoin is going to keep rising. So this is the perfect example of how you should DCA your portfolio into the Bitcoin market. And if we then zoom out all the way to the daily time frame, we can see that Bitcoin created this beautiful higher low play after this significant uptrend with higher highs and higher lows. We're now just seeing a continuation of the bullish price action, because Bitcoin created this low and now we created this higher low. So Bitcoin is still in this huge uptrend, which is looking very bullish. But of course, we now want to break this previous high, and that we're going to create a higher high from here. And that, of course, will see a continuation of the bullish uptrend. So if Bitcoin, for instance, is going to see a lower high from here, that means that we're going maybe to see a little bit of a shift to see a bearish trend unfolding. But for now, we are looking very bullish, and let's see if we can break the previous all-time high and create new higher highs. I also have to put this line here to see that Bitcoin is created a higher low. So we are still in this bullish uptrend to the top side. So let's see if Bitcoin can create more bullish top side, and eventually we want to see the break of this previous all-time high, and that means that we're going to that we can continue the bullish uptrend. And yesterday we heard that Justin Trudeau is going to resign in Canada, and now Canada's pro-Bitcoin opposition leader Pierre Poilievre is expected to lead his party to victory at the next election after Trudeau resigned today. So this could mean that another strategic Bitcoin reserve is coming to Canada because he is pro-Bitcoin, and this could mean that Canada is going to buy Bitcoin in the coming months. So of course we also have America to possibly buy Bitcoin, and maybe a lot of other countries will follow, and of course also a lot of other companies will follow. So this is going to have a massive inflow into the Bitcoin market, and this could also pump up the price of Bitcoin even more. And this is exactly how we want Bitcoin to rise in the coming years. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Ethereum. But before I'm going to talk about Ethereum, I want to talk about something else. And that is that on OKX, you can earn a price share of $2.5 million in bio. And this is all in this prize pool. So you can join for free on OKX. And if you complete the steps, you can earn bio tokens, which you can of course hold or sell later, and you can just earn them for free. So you just deposit and trade to earn a share. So now let's continue to have a look at Ethereum. We can see that Ethereum created these huge horizontal resistance and support areas. And I've been talking about this chart for months and months now. We can see that we came from these bear market lows. We created a beautiful pump to the top side. And now we're seeing a little bit of a decline to retest lower levels as support. And these horizontal levels got respected very beautiful. And if we zoom in a little bit, we can see that Ethereum is currently running into the next big resistance. And this is around the $3,600. So if Ethereum is going to break this level to the top side, we could see the next level getting created. and getting reached, and that will be around the $3,900 approximately. But of course we could also see a little bit of a rejection from this level, and that we have to come lower to lower levels, and that means that Ethereum is coming back to the $3,500. So this is the next make or break point for Ethereum. So we could either see a break to the top side, or we could see a rejection from this level. And if we have a look at the Ethereum ETF flow, we can see that yesterday was a very bullish day because we saw an inflow of $128.7 million, and this was especially because BlackRock was buying a lot. So this is exactly what we want to see, and of course we want to see that all the other Ethereum ETFs are also going to buy Ethereum. But this was also having a little bit of a bullish effect on the price of Ethereum. So let's see if today we can see another bullish inflow for the Ethereum ETFs, and this will only pump up the price for Ethereum even more. And if we then zoom in a little bit on the 4-hour time frame of Ethereum, we can see that Ethereum is now currently in this range with a lot of resistance on the top side. And we can see also this huge horizontal support coming into play. And then in the last weeks, we saw this price of Ethereum was getting squeezed into this apex because we saw a lot of resistance areas on the top side, and also on the lower side we saw support coming into the market. The price got squeezed, and we finally saw a huge breakout to the top side, and we also broke this huge horizontal resistance, and we could potentially see it maybe a little bit of a retest to test it as support. And from this level, it is a very interesting buy place to buy more Ethereum for the long term, and then we can aim for higher targets. So for now, we broke this huge resistance area to the top side because in the past we can see a lot of touch points here as resistance and support. And now we are seeing this horizontal level getting broken to the top side. So of course we could see a little bit of a retest to test lower levels. And from here we can maybe aim for this top side resistance again, and that will be around the $4,100. So I think this could be the next move for Ethereum in the coming days and weeks. And the next interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Vechain. We can see that Vechain in the last month was in this huge downwards sloping triangle, and with this descending triangle finally broke to the top side, and after that we saw a beautiful pump to the top side. So this is what having a very bullish effect on the price of Vechain. And this pump to the top side was almost at 300% for Vechain. So this was especially what we were waiting for Vechain. And this price action could see a continuation because we are now still in an uptrend. And this huge descending triangle had a breakout target which was confluent with the top side of the formation. And it eventually got broken to the top side. We retested these levels as support. And now we can see that we're coming closer to this level. But currently we are at this resistance level. Vechain is trying to break it to the top side, but of course we could also see a little bit of a rejection coming into the market. But I think we also see a huge breakout of this huge downward sloping resistance line. So this could be the start of this next impulse to the top side, because after breaking this trendline resistance, we are now seeing a bullish spike to the top side. So we could also see a continuation of the price, and the breakout target of this formation will be confluent with the previous local high, and this will be around the 8 cent approximately. So this could be the start for the next impulse for Vechain, and let's see if Vechain can reach the 8 cents in the coming days and weeks. So let me know in the comments what your thoughts about Vechain now for the future, and what is your price prediction for Vechain in 2025. So again, if you want to join my free Telegram group, just click the link in the description under this video. Please like the video if you think it was useful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.